Start the Shem Chaver. Everyone open up their hearts.
משורר התשובה הנולדת כבר, ואם בשחקים עודנה צרורה, שמה נשמתך בצרור החיים. משורר התשובה הנולדת כבר, ואם בשחקים עודנה צרורה, שמה נשמתך בצרור החיים.
Some tears of joy. Some tears of joy. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem, we're on together. 28 days until Chanukah, 5 until Shabbos. And it's so holy that we're together. Me, Farka, Noah Finkelstein, and the rest of the Chavra. It's so beautiful. B'Shem Yisrael. It's a little tefillah before we get into it. For all the people that need a refuah, spiritually, physically, mentally. Specifically, Pesach Reuven ben Yosef Asara, Bracha Bas Yehudis, Yona Bas Basia, Miriam Dodi Bas Chana Yocheved. This extends to the rest of the world, from one corner of the world to the other. Zrat Hashem. Ribbono shel Olam, Master of the universe, help me carry out the mitzvah of kindling the Chanukah lamp in its season in the best great possible way, in holiness and purity and with great devotion. Through the mitzvah of the Chanukah lights, let me rectify everything I have mentioned in my prayer. Bezrat Hashem, Hashem Kol Yisrael. We're moving on to Halacha for Chanukah. Again, it's 28 days. Chaver, we gotta start counting down. We gotta start counting down. It needs to be like sort of when we scream Shabbos, on Sunday and Monday in the streets, in the supermarkets. It's time for Chanukah. The bakeries in Israel, they're already preparing. They have the donuts out. They have all the Chanukah stuff. The gelt, it's amazing. They're just trying to test it out, test the waters. The central mitzvah of Chanukah, we all know, is the kindling of the Neiros Chanukah each night. While the basic mitzvah is for each household to kindle only one ner per night, the preferred way is to light one the first night and add a ner each night of Chanukah. Bezrat Hashem, Halacha for Chanukah, and we're moving on. We're just beginning. Chavra, everyone open up their hearts. Finkelstein, is your heart open?
Open.
Farka, are we ready? A person once came to see the fifth Lubavitcher Rabbi, the Rabbi Rashab, the Frierdiker Rabbi's father. This person looked so coarse, like a little piece of flesh with a nose sticking out. He didn't even have a human face. So the Frierdiker Rabbi was at the door. He didn't even want to let him in, but he did. And he decided, I'll keep the door a little bit open to hear what my father says. So this coarse Yiddilah speaks to the Rashab, who quickly realizes that this person is the coarsest person in the world. So he says to the Yiddilah, my dear friend, your soul needs a lot of fixing. But I'll tell you something very simple. I want you to promise me that every day for a few minutes, you'll forget the whole world and just think about what you can do for another person. Think if you can do one favor for another person, and please come back next year. That's what the Rashab told the Yiddilah. The Friedeker Rebbe said that the following year, that Yiddilah came back shining from one corner of the world to the other. He mamish had a different face. When you want to visualize someone you are thinking about, you don't think about their back or their feet, Chavra. You visualize their face, because their face is the most important thing in the world. We all know Rabbi Nachman says that the problem is that we don't have faces anymore. We have a little flesh here and a little bone here, a little muscle there, but no face. And we can find this in Lekutei Maran 153. Farco was wondering, which part of a person shines? That's the obvious question that Noah Finkelstein is wondering about. What is the part of a person that shines? It's not the hands or feet, Chavra. If I'm on the level of shining, it's my face that's shining. But if I have no face, God forbid, it's the end of the world. On Chanukah, we all know God gives us back our true face. When children are born, they have God's face until, God forbid, we defile that oil. We break open the seal and we think they have to look at like us. It's the end of their godly face. Chanukah is the greatest miracle in the world because God gives us and our children back our faces. Chavra, this is the deepest. Mamish the deepest. I was just in Chevron for Shabbos. I'm sorry if I'm going too long. And there's a tour. There's two tours going on. One with Rav Simcha Hachbam and one with Rabbi Yishai, giving a tour of all of Chevron. So I chose Rabbi Yishai, sort of like where, the Chevron we're going to, that I was with. So I went with Rabbi Yishai. And before the tour started, we're all like around each other in a circle, getting ready to move. All of a sudden, this Yid, a friend that I know of, throws a kid in front of me. Happened to be a blind person with a stick. I'm like, who's this? What's up? So my friend says, you're going to be watching him throughout the whole tour. You're going to be walking him around. It's a little hesitant at first, because I'm obviously only thinking about the hands and the feet. Like, we just learned in the story. And I didn't have the eyes of Chanukah, so I wasn't just looking directly in his eyes, in his face. So moments later, I decided, you know what? Shabbos Kodesh. Obviously, this is not random. Hashem places Yiddilah in front of me, want both of us to meet. Ended up being the best experience of my life. The highest point in Shabbos Chevron Chayesara. Kid was a Lamed Vaver. Lamed Vaver, I'm not even joking. And if you want to talk about it afterwards, you can PM me. We could do this off recording. But as the tour was going on, I was able to see more and more of his face. Nothing else mattered but his face, his shining face, which said it all. That's exactly what Rabbi Nachman is telling us and what Chanukah is telling us. That on Chanukah, it's so obvious that everyone is shining. There will be no hesitancy. There will be no reluctance before accepting someone. Because you're just looking at the face. The face is shining. It's a candle. It's a bonfire. That's why we're counting down every single day. It's why we know it's 28 days until Chanukah. That's why we knew the second Chanukah was over last year. We start counting down because we all know Chanukah could be every single day of the year. Just like Shabbos is every single day of the week, Chanukah is every single day of the year. There's no reason why we shouldn't strive to see the faces of people and not just the feet and the hands. And it's great to see the sweetest face in the world, Rav Nitai. So I give you and I the bracha that we should really just see faces before we look at a Yid and scan their passport, bring them into our borders. We just all know that they possess a Mooncatcher passport, and we need to accept every single person by their faces. Bezrat Hashem. Chevra, questions, comments, please feel free. Chevra, this is the preparation. This is Chanukah. It's deep. It's rewarding. We're yearning. We're longing. And the hope is that we can't just see the outside of a little candle, but we can see the inside, the infinite light of that candle, the everlasting oil. All right, someone open up. I got the strumming down. You guys got to open up.
You guys hear me? Have enough service?
You're perfect, bro.
I was telling Farka about this Torah I read. It was on Parshat Vayikra. There's a Sefer Alim L'Trufa, all of Rabbi Natan's letters. There's random people to everyone, and he writes to his son about how to find Hashem in this world, how to have Hashem like, what's the word? Reveal himself to a person in this world. There's a blueprint for it. It says it straight up. There's just instructions for it in the Torah. Vayikra Hashem Abraham. Hashem appears to Abraham while he's sitting outside his tent. Rabbi Natan like waits. He says that's the secret. Like that's the time we see in the Torah where Hashem just fully reveals himself. And just look at it. What was Abraham doing? He was sitting and he was waiting and just patiently. Rabbi Natan writes that that's the secret. It's finding Hashem. Just patience. Just sit yourself down there through the Chol Mayom. Rabbi Natan says the Chol Mayom represents all like the hardships of the world, that we fall down and get back up. It's about sitting there patiently, just like rooting yourself, and just not going anywhere. Just Torah I was discussing with Farka earlier.
Nitai is the doctor. He's the ultimate doctor. Every single time I see him, I talk to him, he always gives me the right prescription. He knew I need to know patience. I need to work on my patience. Bezrat Hashem. Thank you, Nitai. Questions, comments, Finkelstein, Farka. Gewalt, indescribable. Chaver, we should all be healthy, happy, and successful. Understand 28 days, 27 tomorrow. Bezrat Hashem. Hashem is really good to us. Nothing but health, happiness, and success for Nitai, who's guarding borders right now. Farko, who's just strumming away, until Chanukah starts officially. And Noah Finkelstein, who's ready to fire it up tomorrow with the pizzas and the Rebbe. Chavra, be well, mamish.